Hello and welcome to this gameplay guide for Astroneer. Now, this particular video will be covering extenders and splitters, and I will also go over the trade platform. Now, you may notice that I'm sitting somewhere different from the previous videos. This is actually a co-op game that I've been having with my friend Dragonbait, and we've covered a lot of stuff doing it. So, one of the things that we've managed to do as you get out is we have this nice power setup. So from the habitat we have the initial connection through to two banks of solar and wind powers, because we're actually on the exotic planet here and it gets a lot of wind and storms and that, so it's worth having the wind turbines supply. So it comes from the habitat into this panel or this platform of panels and wind turbines, then into the next one, and then this tiny one turns up, and then we have our first extender. Now it actually extends, as you can see, from there down to the hole there. Right, now what we did is we actually dug down here, and there you can see the extenders coming from the top down around the cave wall all the way down. Now it's worth noting that 5 of these extenders costs 1 copper. It goes all the way down and then it finally ends up coming into our battery array. So we've got a mixture of medium batteries and small batteries there, but at the end of the day it's this that is powering our station or our platforms down here when it goes dark, and then it feeds off the battery power. And I think that's generally the best setup that you can have. Ooh, that's worth quite a bit. Look, that's 2,569. And so while I'm down here, I will just quickly set off these bits of research, and then we can move on to splitters. Now let's see. Splitters are a manufactured item, and like everything else they're a placed item. Can I find them? Do we have them already? There. Oh yeah, there they are, splitters. So we have already brought them here, so we need a small. So you can even see that the fuel generation's down here as well, and like the setup on my solo game, we've got canisters and a medium storage for them to sit on, so we can get about quite nice and easily. Right, so is it this one? Small one, medium fabricator, platform B, splitter. Right, so that also uses 1 copper. So there we go, 1 copper. Put my backpack. And let's build. Okay. Now it's a deployed item. Now what this does is, let's have a look, let's see, do we have to deploy it there? So the idea is with this, I've got any, I'll just grab another copper, just see if I've got any extenders lying around. I know I did. I don't think I used them all. That's half the problem with them. It's like you can't really extend them far enough. So I did end up using quite a lot. You can see that everything's feeding off the battery power. So these 2 research stations are taking the battery power. Now they may actually run out during the night, but it's better than having nothing. In the meantime, extenders, there we go. I knew there was some around somewhere. Now for each copper you only get 5 extenders, whereas with tethers you get quite a bit more and they go further. Right, so the basic idea is you take that. Okay, so that's sort of there. What I'll do is we'll put this bit there within distance, unpack it, and you can pick it up and move it around, but once you've connected it There you go. You can then feed off in 3 different directions, or in 2 other different directions, other platforms if you need to. It looks a little different from the one that I've seen before, so that must be a model update. And let's see what else we need. You still see it's draining power, and we're getting nothing from the surface. Oh no, it's just started coming back in. There we go. Must be storming up there. Oh, come back, you. Put that on there. That particular platform is really useful. With all of those, you can put so many little bits and pieces on the side. It is like having a medium storage on the side of your platform, but then obviously you can't put any of the other items on it that you might expect, like platforms and that sort of thing, or solar panels can't fit on there unless you actually put them in the middle bit. But then you might want to fill that specifically with a research station or one of the fabricators or another. So that's the extenders and splitters covered. What else do we need to cover? Right, okay, so I think the other thing we need to cover is the trade platform. So I will swap out and we will go and make ourselves a trade platform on my single player game. So, bear with me just a second. And so, the trade platform. Okay, do I have a spare desk kicking around somewhere? Actually, I think I do. That one. I've not used one of these before. I think basically it's a case of, as you can see, as it's handily tilted towards us, you can put quite a bit on it. I think the idea being is with this large table, what you can do is basically have 2 major things on it, so like 2 research stations, or a research station and a vehicle station, that kind of thing. So as that's about, I'm going to use it. It saves me having to build anything else. Right, okay, and I'm just going to dump it there. I think it doesn't need to be pretty or specifically in the anywhere, but as you can see, let's unpack it. It's not in the way of anything that's going to be built. Nope, that looks good. It doesn't matter, because once it's out I can actually pick it up and move it. Now what you can see is it's actually got quite a few connections to it, which is really quite handy. You see it's on each of its sides, it's got a connectivity bit. Could do being a bit lower, I think. But so the trade platform, let's put that on there. Yep, I've already had that. I think that's around 4,000 bytes. And we need to build it. I could have put it on that one. Oh, it doesn't matter. In fact, I probably will. Let's just move those out of the way. Put those over there. Can I put those over there? Yes, I can. There we go. I was going to say they should fit over there. Right, the trade platform. We need to build one, and it probably. I can't remember where everything is in this place. Right, so here we go. Let's try this on. This is the medium fabricator. Ah, spot on. There we go. Right, so it takes 2 aluminium. Now, I thought it was fairly flush with aluminium, to be honest. But then I've built a rover since then, so I may have to go off and mine some. Or find some in the first place. I think, oh, there's some. No. Aluminium. And if I can find some more aluminium, that would be really good. Oh, there's some. Oh, cool, that's it. We're good. We already have the resources we need. So it needs 2 aluminium. Now it's they're on my backpack, so it's quite happy to take them from my backpack. With the older versions of the interfaces, you had to put the materials in, and that is still relevant on the. If we go over and have a look on the fabricator that we've got just there, and you can see you have to place the items there, and it can't take them from your backpack. whereas the new one just takes them straight off your backpack and starts using, which is a hell of a lot handier. Oh, there's some lacerite there. We could have dug up some soil, and with the resource duplicator extractor machine we could have created some if we needed to, and then just smelted it down. Right, so here is our box with a trade platform, and I'm going to put it there. Now this is quite an interesting thing because it's basically a rocket, and once again it uses the old platform. Right, so basically you say, this is what I want. I want compound, or I want resin, or I want an organic material, or lacerite, malachite, aluminium, copper, lithium, coal, titanium, ammonium, which is what you use to turn into fuel, back to compound. And what you do is, it's quite simple. You go, here, I'm going to give you some lithium, and if I give you some lithium you will get 4 compound back. I don't particularly want to do that because lithium's rare, so let's give it something common. You can't, unfortunately, although you used to be able to, you can't trade hydrazine. They put the kibosh on that. And you also can't trade, unfortunately, dynamite either. Doesn't trade, doesn't do anything, which is a shame because that stuff's all over the place. That would have been really handy. So let's find something that we can trade. I don't want to particularly trade the titanium, although I can duplicate titanium with the other bits and pieces. I would rather use something else. Can you trade batteries? I don't know, let's try that. Can we trade a battery? No, you can't. Oh, that's a bit of a swine. Let's put the battery back. Alright, titanium it is then. Right, so let's see what we get for our titanium. So if we use 1 titanium, we will get 4 compound, 4 resin, 4 organic materials, which seems a bit rich, 2 lacerite, 2 malachite, 1 aluminium. Seriously? That seems a bit steep. Only 1 copper and 0 lithium, but then that's another real rare material, no coal and no titanium. So that's kind of expected, but if you trade 2 you get 1. Lovely. So the more resources you get, you still only get minimal amounts. I mean, it's a case of it really only works best for the lower levels of stuff. So let's say we're a bit short on compound, so I'm going to take one of those off because I don't want to trade 2. I only really want 4. I don't particularly want to go hunting around for it. I've got some spare titanium. It's in abundance because we're on another planet, and we trade it, and away it goes. Bye bye. Now give it a few minutes. See if we can see it going back. It's probably one of those times where it's just going to land and I'm not going to notice. It won't take long. But I think the idea of that is it's gone up to the space station, and the space station fulfill it. I'm not entirely sure who you're exactly trading with. But I've actually seen. Oh, there is. Look, hey, and oh, that reminds me so much of the Falcon Heavy landing. Of the oh, you see, you've got the compound you need. So there you go. That's how the trade platform works. It's basically a case of you put what on it you want to trade, and tell it how much, what you actually want in return, and then you send it off and it comes back with it. It's as simple as that. It's useful, but you are trading higher grade materials for lesser materials and getting less of them. So you know, it's a case of how desperate are you, really. Could you go and mine it? Do you have any of this on that planet? Can you find it yourself? It's that kind of thing. It's whether you can be bothered to go out and get it, or if you've already got something, you can just trade it off. And that's basically it. Now, let me think. I think that actually brings us to a close, pretty much. I mean, the only thing else that's worth mentioning, I'll do another video for this, and these are fairly useless, the inhibitor mods and the terrain analyzer. Basically, the terrain analyzer, from what I understand, it just allows you to paint the surface of the land a colour. Very not useful. If it actually sort of like, you could say I want compound, and it would point you to the nearest compound resource, or I want this, I want that. That would be far more useful. But it's not worth the 3,000 bytes. Not sure what the inhibitor mod does, but we can have a look at that at a later date. We've done all of the platforms, so research chamber, you pick up, find and research all around it. You trade it for bytes. As you can see, I'm getting bytes out of that now, and it gives you the option to, it gives you these bytes, and you can then buy other bits and pieces. The smelter smelts materials into, such as malachite, aluminium, into usable blocks. The mineral extractor, you fill it with soil, and you can trade soil for specific types of components like resin compound, malachite, lacerite, so you get copper ore and aluminium ore. The hydrogen catalyzer, this takes the ammonium resource that you find around and converts it into rocket fuel, as does the fuel condenser. The fuel condenser just uses power to create rocket fuel, which is very useful. Trade platform, we've just done that. Trades one resource for others. The canister, this is the backpack soil canisters. You need those to collect soils for the hydrogen catalyzer. Tethers, well, tethers help you get around the planet if you don't have oxygen tanks, which is how you start off, and they extend your oxygen hose across the planet. Small oxygen tank, that's basically this thing on your backpack here. You can create them. Oh, it's okay. So what is the canister then? Canister. I'm sure that's the soil canister. Yeah, it's the canister. Yeah, so the difference is between those two. That's the canister, and that's the oxygen tank. Okay, so yeah, so I confused myself there. So oxygen tank, very useful. Uses titanium to create. So if you find titanium lying around on another dead astronaut, they quite often have a small battery or an oxygen tank anyway, so you can take those. Very useful. As you can see, I have 3 oxygen tanks and 2 soil tanks on me, or 2 soil containers. The canisters are used for soil and fuel, which is the pink stuff just over there. Then we have extenders and splitters, which we demoed in the previous part. Small batteries and large batteries. They're batteries. Small generator. The small generator uses organic material. So you build it off of your backpack, and you can actually attach it to one of these points here. In fact, we've got one just there. Yeah, so there we are. So basically, you take an organic resource, there it is, created on your backpack, and you basically put an organic material in it, and it turns that organic material into power for your base. So we'll demonstrate that quickly. There's the organic material, and don't really need it at the moment, but let's give it a go. We've got plenty of power. So if you get stuck, as you can see, starting to slowly bring that down. So if you get started on another planet, or you get a little bit stuck for power, these can be quite useful just to keep you ticking over. Which brings me to the medium generator. Now the medium generator is a freestanding thing, and basically it uses coal, and it turns coal into power. It does use the coal up a little bit too quick though, I feel, so I think that it's a bit naff. And if you can get up a solar power or wind power array and then get some batteries going, then that's much better. And then we're on to the small solar. Didn't particularly bother with that. Went straight for the proper solar panel. You might get bigger ones later on in the game. I've seen different ores that, like hematite, which is iron ore, but you can't do anything with it yet. And then we've also got the medium wind turbine. Once again, I didn't really bother with the small one. Bit pointless. Beacon is useful if you're exploring the planet. I've used these. There's one on top of my base there. I've used these to help me find bits and pieces or mark out bits and pieces. You create it on your backpack. The work light, I've got one of these in my backpack, and if you're doing underground exploration, it is handy. It does illuminate things a lot better. The crane fits on the shuttle. A bit pointless on the shuttle, to be fair. Much better on the rover, and that in turn uses the drill head. You can add a winch to your rover, stick it on the back, and then you can drag things behind your rover. Medium rover, slightly faster than the large rover, quite good fun to play around with. I've actually put a rocket thruster on the back of one of these and seen it fly. It was really quite fun. Large rover, you can string all of the rovers together, turn them into a mobile base if you really want to. You can put chairs on them, solar platforms, cranes, that kind of thing. Small shuttle, bit unnecessary, useful for getting around the planet, but I would save up and have done. I've just gone for the larger shuttle. It's far more useful. The open one seat, there are plenty of them lying around. If you find a crash wreck, you'll find one of these in there. You don't really need to research it. The open three-seater, just like anything else, if you actually add it to your rover, it is a permanent fixture. It will stay there. You can't take it off. Once it's there, it's there. But you can add one of those to the shuttle or the rover. Bit pointless. Don't really need them. The one seat is fine. The habitat is really useful because it's even if you're travelling around the planet, having a habitat left behind will give you an oxygen supply. So you can then investigate further from there and build further from there. So you can have other bases around the planet. But if you're going to populate or you're going to set up bases on other planets, you will need one of these without shadow of a doubt. If you saw earlier in the video the co-op game that I'm playing with my friend Dragonbait, the habitat was there. I have used them on the moon. Okay, so then you've got the enclosed bits and bobs. Once again, I suspect the enclosed three-seater is a permanent fixture, whereas these ones you can create them and take them on and off as you like. So they're enclosed one-seaters. Bit pointless at the moment. Maybe at a later date you will have to have the enclosed seats for space travel. Don't know. And on to our final tab, the printers. So a medium printer and small fabricator and medium fabricators, all of those create the bits and pieces that you need to create your base. Now you can, once you've brought the small fabricator, you can actually build that from your backpack. So once you've brought it, so we have a look at that, and there it is, and it uses one compound. So that's a regularly usable resource, and it is how you get started if you haven't brought a medium fabricator with you, if you're populating another base on another planet. Then you have the vehicle bay, then the different platforms. Depending on what you want to do will depend on what platform you have. Now I haven't actually seen one of these. So I think we ought to build one of those just to round off the exercise platform that's over there. Medium storage, useful, very useful around the base. Large storage, build it on the shuttle, 2 of them, and that extends stuff. And then we've got the mods. I will do a separate video on the mods because I'm not convinced they're particularly useful at the moment. Dynamite you find lying around all over the place, and fireworks. No idea what the fireworks are. I imagine they just create fireworks. Find out for yourself on that one if you really want. But that's it. That is the rundown of pretty much everything there is in the game at the moment and how to use it. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this series, we will continue to update it and keep it going and see what is different between the releases and what they add new, because they're going to add new stuff, you know it. And we will continue to keep you updated with those. I'm absolutely loving this game. I'm not going to stop playing it because I've got a lot of things that I want to video and do, like the terrain mods. And when the new stuff comes out, I will keep you updated. So there is a subscribe button below this video. If you would subscribe to my channel, that would be fantastic. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. You can also find us on Facebook, Savvy Gadgetz, and you can also find us on Twitter at Savvy Gadgetz, as per the front cover page. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.